What is your pain point? What are you fed up with? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Most people do this fantasy world where they think, well, you know, I watched The Secret and the Law of Attraction. I just have to sit home and just meditate and just go, Om, private jet, private jet, private jet, and it's going to manifest. Well, good luck, because it's not going to happen. What is it I do not want and I will not tolerate?
From my perspective, the man has balls, he has courage. When you look at the world now, I'm curious, the world's going through so many changes, so much is accelerating, technology at a rapid pace, old systems breaking down. A lot of people are losing their minds and freaking out. I'm curious from your perspective, like give us some insight on your perspective of what's happening now, what's happening on planet Earth.
Well, it's very interesting because Gandhi, I think, said it best, be the change you want to see in the world. And really what's a person's focus, where there should be a focus, and the Buddha said this and so forth, is within. So the only thing I'm really concerned about is my world. And I'll tell you an interesting story. I went to my tailor, and he was had a very interesting, accent, I think from the Middle East. And I didn't know him very well. I had a couple of suits made by him. I really liked them. And I was there chatting. And I said, as I was leaving, it was a Friday afternoon. And he said, Shabbat Shalom. So I assumed he was Jewish, and that's where the accent was. I said, he's going to be Jewish. And I says, you're Jewish. And he says, no, I'm Palestinian. And I said, oh. But that was nice of him to say Shabbat Shalom, but he was Palestinian. I says, man, it's really terrible what's going on in your country and in that whole region. And he said, I don't know, I live here. And with a big smile on his face. And he said, I don't know, I live here. And that was the most beautiful thing. I mean, he was loving and kind and a beautiful man, loved everyone. It didn't make a difference what color their skin was, what religion they were, where they were from, what their ethnicity was. It was irrelevant. He was just a beautiful person who loved people. And he understood that, look, the only thing that I really have a choice of is my world. I was in Canada fishing, and there was a guy named Michel. He was a gentleman named Michel, and he flew me on his little float plane. It was a beaver held together with duct tape. It was 100 years old. And he flew me into his camp. It was a fly-in. We were fishing for walleye, so we flew in on the camp. And he's got this little island. He's got this little cottage, and that's his little camp. And I said, we're fishing. There's only 8 guys there, and it's just him. And I said, just like you asked me, I says, what do you think of all the craziness that's going on in the world? And he says, this is my world. He says, all I can do is deal with my world. I can't change anything out in the world. I can just make my world paradise. And I thought both of those examples were beautiful things, because we look outside and want to change things or get consternation, and we get anxious and stressed about things we can't change. And then we recall St. Francis of Assisi's beautiful prayer, right? Which is, God grant me the courage to change the things I can change, the patience to understand the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Right? And that's the beautiful thing. What can we really change? There's only one thing, and that's us. Every time you point your finger at someone or something, 3 fingers are pointed directly at you. Your eyes are actually not cameras. They're projectors. What you see is what you're projecting from what's within. So the world that I live in is paradise. The world that I see is paradise, because that's the world that I'm creating. And when I meet somebody, it's paradise. It's a beautiful connection and relationship and interaction. And that's where I really focus, within and with the world that's right in front of me, because that's what I'm projecting from within.
Before I dive into some manifestation stuff, what about someone who says, "But Kevin, isn't that selfish? Like we should be serving, we should be making a difference. Isn't that selfish?" Because a lot of spiritual people will say, like, that's selfish. We got to be service oriented to make a difference on the planet.
Yeah, you can't put a round peg in a square hole. You can't push a rope. Be the change you want to see in the world. The great guru, Muktananda, said, you want to change somebody else? Why don't you work on yourself first? You need some changing. And I remember when he said it, it was like, stop trying to change that person and make that person better and heal that person and fix that person. Look at yourself. You need a lot of fixing and healing. Work on you first. And that's what Gandhi said, be the change you want to be in the world. Listen, you focus on yourself, you focus on yourself. And when you focus on yourself and make yourself better, your world gets better because your eyes are projecting. They're projectors, not cameras. And the world that you start experiencing and the world that starts becoming a reality is better because you are better.
Can we really manifest anything? Like anything? Or are there limits?
A guy told me one time, I was talking about manifesting and positive attitude, you know? I said, you have to have a positive attitude. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your dreams. You have to believe you can make things happen. And he says, I bet you think you can do anything with a positive attitude. I said, no, actually, you can't do anything with a positive attitude. But you can do everything better than with a negative attitude. So you can't, okay, I want to become the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, and I'm going to manifest that. No, I'm not. Somebody said, well, with belief, you can float. You can walk off a building and float and defy gravity if you have enough belief. Well, nobody on the planet has that much belief. So even Napoleon Hill, when he said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and bring itself to believe, it can achieve. And that's a critical element there, because he said, in order to believe it, it has to be something reasonable. So we can only achieve things that are reasonable, because we can only achieve things that we believe we can achieve. So if a person's flat broke, they're upside down in their house, they're upside down in their car, they owe more than it's worth, their credit cards are all maxed out, and they just got fired from their job. I don't think they can believe they can be worth $100 million.
Right.
But maybe they can believe they can get a job. Maybe that's the first step that they can believe. Maybe that's all they can manifest. Good, I'm going to get an income. Maybe they can believe that I can file bankruptcy and clean the slate and start over again. Hey, a lot of very successful billionaires today file bankruptcy early in their life because they got sideways, made poor choices, made bad decisions, had errors in judgment, and they had to start over again. So you can achieve or manifest or create anything you want as long as you believe, and I'll change the word, as long as you have 100% confidence that you can achieve it. If you weigh 350 pounds and you want to weigh 185 pounds, maybe that's a tall order for you to believe, right? Or have confidence. But if you weigh 350 pounds, and if I said, do you have confidence that if you work with me every day, I'm going to be your trainer and your chef, do you have confidence that in the next year you can lose 10 pounds? The guy's like, heck, sometimes I lose 10 pounds in a day. Yeah, I mean, I weigh 350, man. It depends, you know, my weight fluctuates all over the place. Good. Well, let's set a goal for 1 year. We'll lose 10 pounds. Well, in the first 30 days, the guy loses 20 pounds. I go, yeah, we're way ahead of schedule. I guess we're going to have to revamp. And now the guy's confidence goes up. I'll tell you what, why don't we lose 5 pounds next month? And then he loses 15 pounds next month. We're way ahead of schedule. Do you believe, do you have confidence that you can lose 15 pounds the following? Now there's momentum. So we have to go at a gradient when it comes to manifesting something or setting a goal. We have to go at a gradient. And most people do this fantasy world where they think, well, you know, I watched The Secret and The Law of Attraction, and all I have to do is think about owning a private jet, and I just have to sit home and just meditate and just go, Om, private jet, private jet, private jet, and it's going to manifest. Well, good luck, because it's not going to happen. What occurs is the person is delusional. You see, Gordon Ramsay, the great chef, very successful entrepreneur, I think said it best. He said, Kevin, he said, you have to have a dream, but you can't live in a dream world.
Right.
You can't be delusional. So you have to have a dream. I want a private jet. Okay, good. You're broke. You don't have a job. Your credit cards are maxed out and you're upside down on your car and your house. So I know you want a private jet. That's the dream. Good. Expand. Go look at private jets. Go look at them on the internet. Dream. But now, what's the next logical step that you have to do? You know something? I need to get a job. Yeah, you need to get a job. You need to get a job. You need to bring something. So yes, you dream, but you don't live in the dream world. You then come back to reality and saying, today, what is my next logical step that'll get me an inch closer to that dream? And maybe that dream may or may never happen, but you have to dream and expand it. But then you have to focus on what is my next logical step. And when you do that, you get motivated and inspired to take action. And your action is something you enjoy, and therefore you'll create results. The journey should be the reward, not the destination. That's why the old saying is success is a journey, not a destination. It's enjoying the journey, which is truly is truly the definition of being successful in life. When you wake up every day, regardless of what the external conditions are, regardless of whether you have what you want or not, but when you wake up and say, I love being me, and I love my life. And if you are at that point, think about it. If you wake up and you actually feel like really permeates your body, I love being me and I love my life, you are the most successful person on the planet. You can't get more successful than that. Regardless of what you physically have or what your financial situation is or what your relationship situation is or what your health situation is. And if you get to that point, that's when your external conditions will begin to improve. Right. You have to have the attitude first for it to improve. I remember a guy, I was following him. He was a very successful guy. He did a seminar, and I kind of followed him afterwards. This was in Massachusetts decades ago. And he went to a Denny's restaurant because Denny's was open 24/7. And I'm thinking, boy, this multi-millionaires eating at Denny's. And then I realized there's no place else open. So I followed him in, and he saw that I was this kid following him around like a little puppy dog. And he says, you were at the seminar. Yeah. I says, do you have any advice for a young guy, just starting off? And he says, I'll give you this advice. When you walk into someplace, always walk in like you own it. You have to have that attitude. You walk in like you own it. And I says, well, when I have your money, I'll have that attitude too. And he said, stop. He says, the money will not get you the attitude. He says, the attitude will get you the money. He says, you have to have that attitude when you're flat broke. And when you have that attitude first, then the money will come. It's like the saying, well, Kevin, I'll believe it when I see it. No, you'll see it when you believe it.
How does someone develop the attitude? Because, develop the attitude. Okay, but then I got it. Then 2 minutes later, something happens and then it's gone and I don't feel it. And so if someone's listening, let's say they're financially struggling and they look around the circumstances and I can't quite flip the switch to develop that attitude. What do I do to make that connection?
If you're really hungry, what do you do to solve the hunger? You eat, right?
You eat.
If you're really thirsty, what do you do to solve the thirst? You drink. So our mind needs to be fed. Now, guess what? We feed it every day anyway. We feed it by watching stuff on YouTube and the internet and social media and all these stupid clips. We read the news. We watch the news. We see billboards. We watch stupid movies. We listen to lyrics of music. We are feeding, and we listen to our dumb, stupid relatives and neighbors and all the negative people around us, right? The coworkers, We are feeding our mind with negative virtually all day long. So in order to develop a good attitude, you have to counteract that and feed your mind with positive. And the two basic ways to do this is reading. You have to actually, it's an old technique. Very people don't know what it is. It's called reading words off a page. You actually read. So if you read a positive thinking book, The Magic of Thinking Big, The Magic of Believing, Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Positive Thinking by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar, my newest book, Your Wish is Your Command. You read positive thinking books, even if it's a paragraph a day that takes less than 5 minutes. A paragraph a day, you're feeding your mind positive. Next, listen to positive, motivational, inspirational audios. If you drive a car, you have the greatest opportunity in the world to feed your mind positive, inspirational messages. You need to program yourself for success. When I was first starting off, my dad was a welder, my mom was a homemaker. Everybody in my neighborhood was negative. You can't get rich. Nobody can get rich. We were on the wrong side of the tracks. We didn't go to college. Rich. It's not in our DNA. We don't have the connections. We don't have the money to start. You know, we're not criminals. We're good people, so we'll never get rich. What makes you think you can succeed? Oh, anybody who starts a business is a fool. They all fail. That was what I was bombarded with, right? Just be lucky you get a job. Try to get a job in the union. That way you can't get fired. You know, it's even better if you work for the government, then you can never get fired. You know, and you don't have to do anything if you work for the government. You can't get fired and you don't have to work. That's where you should be going for. Stop this idea about starting a business and becoming rich. You're just dreaming. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to fail. You're going to lose everything. That's what I grew up with. So guess what I did to counteract that? Back then I got a cassette player. Okay, I had a cassette tape player and I had a timer and I would plug that timer in. I had 2 of them. And the first one I would play before I went to bed. So as I was in bed dropping off into sleep, I had Zig Ziglar, Ed Foreman, Les Brown, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Jim Rohn, all these old time motivational speakers, Cavett Robert, Charlie Tremendous Jones saying, you can do it. You can do anything you want. Motivating it, right? They were given inspiration and I was sleeping while I'm getting this motivational pep talk like Vince Lombardi would to the Green Bay Packers when they won all the Super Bowls, right? I got this great pep talk from these great success coaches. And then I didn't wake up to an alarm clock. I woke up to the tape player because I had it set for a timer at 5:30. So at 5:30 in the morning, the tape player would go off as I'm just, asleep. And that's what would wake me up. Hey, you can become anything you want. You can do it. You are somebody. You got greatness within you. You were designed for accomplishment. You were engineered for success. You were endowed with the seeds of greatness. Don't take crap from anybody. If anybody tells you you can't do it, just tell them, watch my stuff, baby. You're going to eat them words. And that's what I'm listening to. I'm programming myself for success. And then when I go out through the day and somebody says, well, what makes you think you can do that? That kicks in. And I just go, you're going to eat them words, baby. You watch me. You just watch me. That's how you get motivated and stay motivated. You have to constantly feed your mind with positive, motivational, inspirational material. This is what Olympic athletes do. This is what professional champion athletes do. This is what everybody. You watch the MMA. There was one of the fighters there. I think her name was Rose. And she'd be there in the corner going, I'm the best. 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 And then she'd go out there and get knocked out. And then she would go back and she says, it wasn't my best outing, but I learned something and I'm going to get better. Then she comes back the next fight and she's going, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. And she gets out there and she knocks the other person out. And she says, it wasn't my best outing. I'm learning from this and I'm going to get better. And then she went on to win a whole string. But that's the attitude of a champion. Michael Jordan always said it, give me the ball. Give me the last shot. And people say, well, yeah, he's Michael Jordan. He makes it all the time. Look, he made more winning shots than any professional basketball player in history. But what most people don't know is he missed the winning shot more times than anybody else in history. He didn't have the highest percentage of winning shots. He just always said, give me the ball. Because he had the right attitude. He had the attitude of a champion. And that's really a significant thing. Winners win. And more importantly than wanting to win, winners hate losing. Vince Lombardi said it best, I think, when he said, you show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser.
Wow. How much does karma play out? Does it affect our life in any way? Because sometimes I see people work so hard and they're working hard and just nothing happens or doesn't seem to pop for them. And then some people that just things just happen. What is the interplay? And if so, can we change it?
Yeah, that's an
Karma.
excellent question. Very few people ask it, and it's an excellent question. First, before I mention karma, there's two reasons why a person doesn't feel. Actually, there's three. The first one is actually don't apply the manifesting formula properly. And the manifesting formula is, number one, what is it that you won't tolerate anymore? What is your pain point? What are you fed up with? What are you sick and tired of with that you absolutely 100% have to change and will not take anymore? And from that point, you then clarify exactly what you do want with obsession and with a burning desire. So first, what don't you want? And then clarify what you do want. It's got to be specific, and you got to have a burning desire for it. Then see yourself in possession of that. Feel now as if you would feel if you actually were in attainment of your desire, and then release attachment to the outcome. Hey, if it never happens, it's okay. While maintaining that same state, that same feeling as if you did have it. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version of the manifesting formula. So the first reason people feel is they don't apply that. But for people who do apply that and they struggle, and many do, the second reason is they have what's called counterintention. We have in our DNA from our ancestors counterintentions. So let's say around money, let's say that your parents or grandparents on your mother's side, let's say your mother or grandmother, they were very religious. And maybe you grew up with the whole theory that money is the root of all evil. It's easier for a rich man, it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Rich people don't go to heaven. The poor will inherit the earth. And you start getting all this counter intention about money. Or we don't want to have a lot of money because if we had money, then people will steal it from us. It's not safe to have money. It's not safe to have money in the house. So maybe we have this counter intention in our subconscious and in our DNA that's money's not safe. Money's not good. We don't want that. That's bad. We're going to go to hell if we have money. So we could have counter intentions. So that has to be cleared out of our DNA. And also in our own memories, we may have counter intention. You know, you may have got your 25 cents for your lunch, and then the bully beats you up and takes the money. And now you have this memory of, I had money, I got beaten up, and it got taken away. I don't want money. Money is going to cause me pain. So you might actually have some counter intention subconsciously or in your DNA that's actually working against you when you're trying to manifest money. But let's talk about the karma. If you did something either early in your life, or if you believe in past lives, a past life, and you come into this life and you have, we'll call it prosperity karma, because you did a lot of these great things that never were paid off. So this is your lifetime to get paid off. And we see this. We see these people who just bumble through life and they just basically fall into all this money. You know, they're working in a diner and somebody says, you should be in the movies. What do you mean? I'm not an actor. And all of a sudden he goes on to create all these movies. His name is Tom Cruise, by the way.
Wow.
Okay. And there's so many singers like that. You should be a singer. What do you mean? I have no idea to be able to. No, you have a great voice. You should be on Star Search. And then she doesn't win Star Search, but she goes on to become a superstar. Her name was Britney Spears.
Wow.
And so on and on, you see these people that kind of bumble through life. They don't have any even goals to make money or become successful, and they just magically do it. Clearly, that's karma. And then you have other people that no matter what they do, everything goes wrong. Okay, so karma is an interesting thing, but it's a beautiful thing. Because if you know how to handle karma, you are given gifts when you have negative karma in your life. So watch. If you're doing something in life and something bad happens, why do bad things happen to good people? Guy's doing wonderful stuff his whole life, and all of a sudden his business goes sideways. He gets a stupid lawsuit and he goes bankrupt. It's a terrible thing. And he's like, what did I do wrong? I go to church every Sunday. I'm loyal to my wife. I love my kids. I give money to the church. I tithe. I do all these things. I read The Secret. I follow all the success gurus. I'm a nice person. I mow the neighbor's lawn. I'm going to help him out. I do all these great things. I can honestly say I'm a saint. Why did this happen to me? Okay. When something happens that you don't want, what do? Most people resist it. They get mad at it and they keep saying, why? Why me? Why me? And they get frustrated. And then they blame God too. Why are you doing this to me? You're not even alive. You're not even real. Because why would this happen? So they're basically resisting what's happening. Whatever you resist persists. If this event is happening and it's caused by karma, which is unmanifested vibrations that you put out in the past, and therefore whatever you put out comes back, and it's coming back, it's now time for payback. You are given the most fertile soil in the world in order to plant a seed for the future. So instead of resisting the negative thing, if you acknowledge it instead of deny it, I don't like this. Don't try to reframe it in some positive thinking thing. You can say, I don't like this. I don't see anything good in this right now. So acknowledge it, don't deny it. Number two, welcome it, don't resist it. Saying, I created this somehow, I don't know how, but I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and I am going to respond to it instead of react to it. And I'm going to look for the seed of something better. J.D. Rockefeller said, in every adversity is the seed of a greater benefit. And he said, it was out of my adversities that I created my wealth. If you watch the History Channel, they have something called The Men Who Built America, the brands that built America, the food that built America. And they tell the stories of Kraft and Heinz and Famous Amos with Famous Amos cookies, Mrs. Fields with Mrs. Fields cookies, Harlan Sanders, Colonel Sanders with Kentucky Fried Chicken, Kraft with Kraft Foods, Nabisco, Henry Ford, J.P. Morgan, Thomas Edison, Tesla, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, like all these people, John D. Rockefeller. And in every single real life story, there was at least one catastrophe, horrible situation. A guy's factory burns down and he has no insurance on it. He gets sued and he's out of business because he loses the patent. The banks call the loan and they're out of business. Electricity comes and wipes out kerosene. John D. Rockefeller is bankrupt because no one needs kerosene anymore. It's being replaced by electricity. In every one of these catastrophes that virtually brought the person to the brink of bankruptcy and complete utter financial ruin, they found the seed of a greater benefit. Rockefeller, when he was losing the kerosene, said, wait a minute, what are we throwing away over here? Oh, it's this highly volatile, clear liquid. We call it gasoline, and it's useless. It's too volatile. It kind of explodes. And he goes, wait a minute. They just invented something called the combustion engine. Wouldn't this be a good fuel for that? So out of the adversity of losing the kerosene, he figured out a greater benefit, and he made more money in gasoline than anything else. Wow. Example, the two railroads that carried all of Rockefeller's oil teamed up to screw Rockefeller. And they went to Rockefeller and said, we're tripling the price to carry your oil. And if you don't use us, there aren't any more railroads. You're going to have to pay. Rockefeller said, well, let me think about it. So he went back. Adversity, major adversity, horrible situation. And he walked around, the story goes that it's very accurate. He walked around his refinery thinking, there's got to be something good here. Because they knew out of every adversity is the seed of a greater benefit. You have to find the gold. Look, when you're mining gold, you move tons of dirt just to find a few ounces of gold. You're not looking for the dirt, you're looking for the gold. So all these guys were experts at finding gold in adversity. So Rockefeller's walking around the plant and he's looking at his refineries. And he said, wait a minute. We move oil from that part of the refinery to that part of the refinery in a pipe. What if you can build a railroad across the country, Why can't I just lay a pipe right next to it
Wow.
to carry my oil? So he said, I'm going to screw the railroads. And he built a pipe, and now it cost him 1/10 what he was originally paying for. So out of the adversity came the home run financial score. In every adversity is the seed of a greater benefit. Successful people don't get upset when they're faced with a bad karmic situation or a terrible situation. They get excited. It's like,
Wow.
I'm being given a gift from the universe. Because they know this phrase. The universe does not do things to us. It does things for us. We just have to keep our eyes open.
I want to ask you, and this is like a personal curiosity. I hope it's okay to go there. I know you went through a few challenges a while back, and I'm curious how you navigated that.
Good. So a lot of
I'm
people
really
say,
curious.
Kevin, you were held in contempt of court because you wrote the book, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. You exposed the drug companies. You exposed the FTC. A politically motivated case came after you. The drug companies came after you. You got held in contempt of court because you were exercising your First Amendment rights. You were never charged with a crime, and you were put in prison for 10 years, and they took everything away.
Wow.
How did you face that adversity? And I said, what adversity? And they said, Kevin, you were in prison for 10 years. That was major adversity. I go, no, it wasn't. It was a gift.
Wait. Were you in prison for 10 years?
I was in federal prison for 10 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was
Yes.
that long.
And they said, what do you mean? I said, it was a gift. It wasn't adversity. And I'll tell you an interesting story about this. When I was walking down the compound, the warden, who you never see, was walking down toward me. So we were crossing paths. And he stopped me. He says, hey, Trudeau. He says, you know, I've been in the Federal Bureau of Prisons for 35 years. I've seen tens of thousands of inmates. And I can honestly say you're the only one who's actually happy to be here. And he goes, and you're the only one who shouldn't be here. And I said, well, I can't change the fact that I'm here. I can't control that, but I can control how I feel. So I might as well feel good and take advantage of this opportunity. I go, look, I'm doing yoga, I'm playing tennis, I'm playing pool, I'm learning German, I'm learning Italian, I'm playing bridge, I'm exercising, I'm reading great books, I'm meeting interesting people. And quite frankly, this is like summer camp to me. I don't have any responsibilities. I don't have nobody calling me, no emails to respond to. I am completely stress-free. This is like the best sabbatical I could ever imagine, and it's paid for by the U.S. government. And when I come out, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, completely relaxed, more educated than ever before, and I come out to a clean slate. Do you realize when I come out, I have a blank canvas? I can create any type of life I want for my next chapter. This is the greatest gift in the world. And he says, nobody has that attitude. When I first walked into prison, I had 10 years. Now, most of the guys going into a camp had maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I had 10. I got a phone call a few weeks ago from a guy who tracked me down. His name is Sean Presley. Sean Presley was a fellow who did 20 years in prison.
Wow.
When I came into prison, he had 5 years to go. He had moved down from a penitentiary to a medium to a low, and now he was at a camp. And he was going to be my roommate. I didn't know that. And he tracked me down. He was there about 6 or 8 months before he transferred to another facility. And I lost track with him. I hadn't talked to him. So just recently, just a few weeks ago. So I saw him in 2014. Last time I talked to him, 2014. He just reached out. He says, Kevin. And I put him on speakerphone, and my wife Danielle was there and some other people. And he says, Kevin, I just wanted to call you because you inspired me and changed my life in the short period of time that we were together. I says, how's that? He goes, with one thing that you did. The day you arrived, I was in my cube. I knew I was getting a new roommate. And I saw you walking down the housing unit. And you had this big, huge smile on your face. And you were walking down like you were the happiest guy in the world, like you had just hit the lottery. And I said, who the hell is this guy? He must have got like 3 months. And you walked up and reached out your hand and said, I'm Kevin Trudeau, I'm your new roommate. And I was blown away by that big smile of yours. And I thought, he's only going to be here a few months. I said, how long do you have? And you said, only 10 years. He says, that floored me. I still tell that story today because I haven't met anyone since with that type of positive attitude facing 10 years in prison. And then when I found out you didn't even deserve to be there because you hadn't even been charged with a crime, it was mind-boggling. But I thought if that man can have that attitude in that situation, I can have that attitude in the minor things that I'm facing in my life as well. And since then, Kevin, I've become ridiculously successful. I give speeches now around the country. I motivate and inspire young men who are struggling like I was with drugs or selling drugs or crime and so forth, not knowing, getting their head straight and getting their attitude right so they can improve their life and take responsibility for their actions and take responsibility for their life and create the life they want. And that was I was just overjoyed to hear from him. But when you have that type of...
You were pissed off, a little upset, like, what the hell, why am I, like a moment, or...
No, I really... And everybody who knows me everybody says
Kevin, how did you maintain, how? What was it?
If you read a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning, here was a guy who was in a Nazi, he was Jewish, and he was in a Nazi concentration camp. That means he was going to get cremated or killed. They had no food. They worked 18 hours a day. And I read that book and I thought, I'm so lucky. That's how I looked at it. It's perspective, isn't it? I said, so Viktor Frankl, he said, the Nazis controlled everything in my life, but the one thing they could not control was my thoughts. When I read that, I thought, that's true. And if Viktor Frankl could have a good attitude in a Nazi concentration camp, not knowing if today was the day he was going to be sent to the ovens and cremated, I'm looking around my little camp going, I hit the lottery. I actually got a pillow.
It's 5-star.
Yeah, it's 5. Yeah. I mean, it's like, wow. 3 squares a day, man. Three square meals a day. I'm happy. It's like, wow. Not one scoop of soup, like they had to deal with.
Powerful. You talked about DNA. Sometimes that's an impact. How do we clear the DNA? Is there a way to clear it, to free ourselves of the memory, the energy that has been stored there?
There are processes you can do, and there's different people that do different energetic processes and things. But at the end of the day, if a person has said, what do I just do myself? Okay, there's nobody out there. I'm not going to go to some guru. I'm not going to spend money on this or that. Okay, what do I do myself? The answer is choice and decision. So remember this phrase, success is a decision away. When you go through life, if you make the decision, one day you make the decision, I'm going to do it, that's it, period. The whole universe now starts working for you because you've made the decision. Mary Kay Ash, who started Mary Kay Cosmetics, used to say all the time, and maybe she didn't invent this saying, but she said, one person with a commitment is more powerful than 1,000 people with an interest. So when you make a decision that I'm going to do it, that's it, period. And then when something comes up that stops you or blocks you, or you start thinking a bad thought, or you start speaking something stupid like, oh, I'm so dumb, catch yourself and say the magic words, cancel, cancel, and then replace it. You can't just eliminate negative thinking. You can't eliminate negative self-talk. You have to replace it with positive thoughts and positive self-talk immediately. You have to replace it. We live by habits, and most people have failure habits. I have success habits. I offer to some people to come and live in my house, in the mansion, for 24 hours, and they're a fly on the wall. They don't talk to me. Matter of fact, there's 3 of them right over there.
They don't speak to you.
And they follow me around. And they follow me around and they watch and observe how I go through my day. They watch me talk to myself. because that's what I do every single day. They watch me make a list of things to do. They watch me deal with people. They watch me make phone calls and things like this. And one of the things that they say at the end when I say, do you have any questions, comments, or observations? The 24 hours is over. Then we have a chat and have a chance to fine tune some things. They all say, I can't believe how much you talk to yourself.
Wow.
And it's all pep talk. You give yourself a pep talk. Like I'll say things like, I'm good. I'm constantly understanding that words have power. A magician used to say, abracadabra, I now pull a rabbit out of the hat. Well, the word abracadabra comes from the ancient Persian, and it loosely is translated, I now create with my words. So our words are creative. What you say is what you get. Your tongue is a creative force. You're hung by the tongue. You're snared by the words of your mouth. Those are all scriptural phrases out of different scriptures, whether it's the Quran or the Christian or Jewish Bibles. Krishna said it. Buddha said it. They all say the same thing. What you say is what you get. Your words have creative power. So therefore, use your mouth. You have a tool. You have this amazing, powerful tool. Use it to your advantage instead of to your disadvantage. So I'm constantly saying, this guy's going to call me back. I'm creating it with my words.
Wow.
I'm going to make this happen. I'm good. I'm the most efficient person I know. I'll say things like that when I get something done. I go, I'm going to get motivated right now. And I just make it this, I'm like, I'm not motivated. And then I'll say, I'm going to get motivated right now. I just talk to myself. So use words. Words are very powerful. Shad Helmstetter is a genius in this. He wrote the book, What Do You Say When You Talk to Yourself? And he's an expert in self-talk.
Powerful. Powerful. I want you to break down the success formula a bit. I want you to go a bit deeper into the success formula. Can you just break it down again and like...
The first step is a step that I don't think you can find this in any success book. And this is the really kind of a missing secret to the secret or the law of attraction or the manifesting formula or anything you read in Think and Grow Rich or anybody. And this first, because what they'll teach you is you always want to be thankful and appreciative and grateful and walk around being thankful and grateful. Okay, let me tell you the story here. I don't know a single stupidly successful person, and I'll define that. They got at least 200 million cash in the bank. And I'm around them all the time. Just the other night, I had a couple fly in the walls with me, and I was looking at a plane. And this, I said, I'm calling about planes, and I know a guy who has a bunch of planes. He's got he's had a zillion planes. He spends $4 or $5 million a year on his own private planes. So I send him a text, very successful, very busy guy, calls me back instantly. And he's on the phone with me for a half an hour talking about planes. Okay. So when you're talking to people like that, people that really have money, not the success gurus, not the theory, you know what they do? They get pissed off all the time because they contract energy. They understand that in order to get motivated, in order to move energy, in order to clearly define what you want, you first have to know what you don't want. So they'll say something like, I'm sick of this plane. This is a piece of junk. How can I live with this plane? Because they have to start getting really angry or frustrated. They have to get to a point where they will not accept this in their life anymore. It's only then can they clearly define what they want and have enough juice in order to motivate themselves to create it. If they were just walking around going, I'm happy, I'm thankful, I'm so appreciative of everything. My credit cards are all maxed out and I'm just so thankful that I'm alive. And, I don't have a job and I'm just so thankful that I'm going to be kicked out of my house next week, but I'm thankful and appreciative. Nothing's going to get better. You first have to contract energy and say, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm not going to take this anymore. There was an old movie called Network. And the guy was on the network, and he says, I want everyone to get out of there, open up their windows, stick your head out of their doors and start screaming, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Say it, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it. Okay, that's kind of the energy you have to have first.
And it's necessary?
Say again?
A necessary piece?
Because
we all hear that. People, no, don't feel that energy because that's going to keep you stuck.
You don't live there. You don't live there. You visit there. Just like you don't live in the dream world, you visit the dream world. You visit this for a moment. You visit this for a minute. You only okay, Rocky. Remember Rocky? Okay, the movie Rocky with Sylvester Stallone. In the second movie, I think of the third movie, he's fighting Clubber Lang, Mr. T. And Mr. T in the first round is beating the crap out of Rocky. Rocky's in the corner. And he's getting boom, boom, boom. And Rocky's like, ow, 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 ow. And his corner guys are screaming. And one of the corner guys goes to the other corner guy, what the hell is he doing? He's getting killed. And the other corner guy goes, no, he's getting mad. And then Rocky gets mad enough where he says, I'm not taking this beating anymore. And then he comes out and he's Rocky. Right? And that's kind of what you have to do. You don't live there. You don't live all day long being pissed off. You first, what am I not going to accept? What is it I do not want and I will not tolerate? Okay, from that point, that takes a minute. Now, what is it do you want? What exactly do you want? I'm sick of these credit card bills. I'm sick of my boss. I'm sick of these large house payments. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to tolerate this financial condition anymore. I want to have $100,000 cash in a bank, and I want all my credit cards paid off, and I want to be in a nice new house with equity. Perfect. Now you clearly define what you wanted. Now, you still get that negative energy as you're saying it because you have an obsession. You have a burning desire, as Napoleon Hill says. Define your dream. Define what you want, define your desire, and then get a burning desire for its achievement. A burning desire is not, I'm so happy, everything is great. A burning desire is a sports athlete going, I'm winning. That's a burning desire. It is like, I'm just so happy playing the game. It's not winning or losing, it's how I play the game that counts. That's not the winner. The winner's going, we're winning this game. They get a burning desire to win because they hate losing. And it's the same thing here. Because you hate the thing that you're not going to tolerate anymore, you have a burning desire to get what you want because you're fed up with this. You hate this and you want that. That's the sweet spot of energy. But now we go, and that takes a minute, by the way. And now you go to the next phase. You see yourself in possession of what you desire. You see yourself actually in the attainment of what you want. And now you feel right now as if you would feel if that was true. How's that feeling, by the way? Now you're feeling good, aren't you? Now you're feeling good. But you don't start there. You have to go through the first two steps first. But now you see yourself in possession of your desire and feel now as if you would feel. And now you relax and you feel blissful, you feel happy, you feel joyful, you feel thankful, you feel appreciative because you created this fantasy in your mind. Now all those wonderful feelings are going out into the universe. Mm-hmm. And then you do the magic last step, which is you release attachment to the outcome. You say, but if it never happens, it's perfectly okay. I'm happy now. And you maintain feeling good now. And now you go about your day. And you repeat that cycle several times throughout the day. This is what successful people do every day if you watch them. I was lucky early in my career, back in the early 80s, late 70s, to go into homes of guys who are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. In today's value, billions of dollars. And I would watch them go through their day. Go through these cycles. I'd see a guy looking at the numbers and he'd slam and say, these numbers suck. And he'd call up a manager. you get in here. You're about 5 seconds away from getting fired. And he called yelling at the guy, huh? What are you doing to get these numbers? Huh? And they're screaming at the guy. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what about feeling good now? Then the guy leaves. And then I'll never forget. Then the guy leans back with a big smile on his face. We're going to get moving now. So he contracted the energy, got the guy motivated. And then he sat, and I could see in his mind, he was picturing all those numbers going up. And then he was feeling good. We're getting better. It's going to get better now. And that's where he stayed for a few minutes in that beautiful, thankful, appreciative feeling space, as if he was actually in the attainment of his goal. Wow. And I saw over the next year, by the way, on that particular business, it was a restaurant chain down in Florida. The stock went from, I think, $12 to $150 in like a year or something. I mean, and he killed it because the stock was going down and the company was crashing. And in 1 year, he turned the whole thing around. And that's like a 10X on his money in a year.
Wow.
Well, he had it for a year before, so 2 years, 10X.
Are there any I don't know, secret practices that you do that like typically don't tell the public, but you'd be willing, like in your inner sanctum of your inner world, like this is the like next level practice that you'd be willing to share with us? Like, I know there's something.
Well, when people come to my house and they're a fly on the wall for 24 hours, and we've had some the last 2 days and we have a couple today, they see how it works in real life. And I will tell you something that they didn't know. I actually wear a uniform when I work in my house. So when I wake up, I put on my work uniform. And my work uniform at my house consists of sweatpants with pockets with 2 zippers. That way I can put my wallet in one of them, my cash in the other, and zip them up so they don't fall out. And then I have a t-shirt, and then I have a fleece, a Columbia fleece that I put on with 2 pockets, both with zippers. And in one pocket, I have a pocket tape recorder. In the other pocket, my phone. So my secret ritual is using an old-fashioned pocket micro cassette recorder. And I have that. That's my uniform. That's because I need to carry those around the house. And wherever I walk around the house, as a matter of fact, I have it right here. See, it's with me all the time. It's a Lanier. They don't make them anymore. I had to get them on like eBay. So throughout the day, when I think of something, I capture the thought. Call Tony about the meeting on Saturday and make sure that we adjust those budgets. Boom. I'm constantly capturing the thought. And then when I sit down on my desk, I play it back and I write it down on my to-do list. So I am incredibly organized with written lists on paper, and I have file folders. People can't believe that the old school, I got filing cabinets, file folders, and how fast I can access information and grab it and put it down, have a meeting, write notes, put it on a to-do list for tomorrow. Nothing falls through the cracks. So if there was a secret sauce, people think, well, it's the attitude. Yes, you have to have the right attitude and the right thoughts. But unless you're putting forth a successful cycle of action, you're not going to get results. You can have the best attitude in the world, right? But if I give you a defective recipe for some food, you're not going to get a good result. You have to have a recipe that actually produces a tasty dish. You combine the good recipe with good techniques and a good attitude, and now the dish tastes wonderful. So you have to have all three: the recipe, the technique or the actions, and the right attitude. And when it comes to manifesting, I gave you the recipe. The technique is actually how do you implement that every single day? And by watching somebody actually do it is an effective way to do it. And then with the right attitude. And there's a whole host of attitude things, all these nuances like how do you talk, what your thoughts are, do you say cancel, cancel? And there's a little thing. Somebody was, we were having an observation meeting, and I said, what did you observe during your 24 hours? They go, the one thing that I was shocked or fascinated by was you'd be at your desk, you'd lean back, and you'd put your feet up on the desk when you were either talking to somebody on the phone. Why do you do that? And I said, because in my mind, when I was a kid, the picture of the guy who was on top of the world was the guy who would sit behind his desk, threw his feet up, threw his arms back, and had a cigar in his mouth. That was the epitome of the ultimate success. He had not a worry in the world, not a care in the world. He was just leaning back with his feet up on the desk, right? So I do that to trigger in my memories, because it's still there, that vibration and frequency of I am that person. This is a form of how you're developing your self-image, the picture in your mind that you have of yourself. And that picture will then broadcast out into the universe and create your reality. Remember, your eyes are not cameras. So stop saying, oh, this is what my reality is. Your eyes are projectors. So what you're seeing is what you're projecting from within. Change within, and then the external changes. There's an axiom that goes back thousands of years, which says, as within, so without.
Final question. Actually, before I ask you the final question, I know you have a new book out. Your wish is my command.
I do. I do. This, as a matter of fact, I just showed it to you. It just came in. It was hot off the press. This is it here.
I listened to it.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's also at kevintrudeau.com. And I got a bunch of stuff at kevintrudeau.com. But this is the newest book. It's a pretty robust book. But it really is probably, no, it is the best success book of all time. It does talk and give the step-by-step success system that never fails. It answers every question about why the law of attraction doesn't work, why you fail. It tells you exactly what to do step by step. There is no ambiguity. It is step by step. It is mind-blowing. It also, as you read it, it's full of what's called hypnotic language patterns and a special syntax of writing that deprograms you from all of your negative programming. So if a person just reads the book, I am constantly deprogramming themselves. And there was a guy named Alan Carr who learned that from the CIA, as did I. And he wrote a series of books. One was The Easy Way to Quit Smoking by Alan Carr. And he said, just read the book and you'll stop smoking. And I said to him, how does that work? He goes, it deprograms you. He goes, because smoking, the nicotine addiction is only 24 hours. The addiction is really programming. So the book deprograms you. And I go, you learned it from the CIA? And he goes, how'd you know that? I go, that's where I learned it from. And so we know the same language pattern. So that's why reading this book deprograms you from your negative failure thinking and habits and programs you with success thinking and habits. This is why when people read it, they go, Kevin, I read your book and I didn't do anything. I didn't apply any of the techniques. But for some crazy reason now, my income has doubled in the last 6 months. What happened? I got that letter. And I go, what do you think? And he goes, I don't know, my whole, everything, I think differently or something. What did you do to me?
What's happening?
He says, you're a witch. You're a witch. I go, actually, no, I would be a warlock. Not a witch, but.
Listen, Kevin, you've shared so much with us, poured so much. Thank you for your generosity. Final question. If you were to look back at your life, everything you've been through, and you've had a hell of a life, ups, downs, successes, lessons. If you were to pick the three most important, potent life lessons that you've learned, and if you could only pass these three keys to the next generation, these are the three jewels that will evolve the consciousness of the next generation the most. I'd love to hear your Kevin Trudeau's three keys to life.
The first one is success is a decision away.
Boom.
Make a decision that you're going to do it. That's it, period. When you make a decision like that, everything changes. Character, if you're a person of character, character is following through on a decision long after the excitement and emotion of the moment has passed. So if you make a decision that you're going to do it, that's it, period, that changes everything. Success is a decision away. That's number one. And number two, go as far as you can see. When you get there, you'll see further. So just go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll see further. Have faith and trust. Walk by faith, not by sight. It's a beautiful road. And lastly, I think the secret of all life, which was taught to me by a beautiful man in Chicago named Herb Cohen, He wrote a book called You Can Negotiate Anything, and he taught the seminar while smoking a cigar. And I said, this is a non-smoking hotel. And he says, I negotiated. But he told me the secret. He told me the secret of life, and he said it this way. While smoking the cigar in the seminar, he said, the secret of negotiation, and more importantly, the secret of life, is you have to care. But not that much. And that's really the key. If you care, but not that much, take life lightly, treat yourself good, everything will work out just beautiful.
Amazing. Folks, it's the incredible Kevin Trudeau. Kevin, you've been an inspiration over the years. It's a pleasure, a blessing to meet you. Even though virtually, I feel your heart, I feel your caring. Thank you for being so generous and pouring into our community. Folks, you can get Kevin's book, Your Wish is My Command. Go get it now. I'm going to get a copy myself and digest it. Also, kevintrudeau.com.
It was just an awakening.
My income has doubled. I'm getting close to tripling.
You can build an amazing, amazing life off of just your wish is your command.
How much more money I'm earning and the woman that I have in my life is just miraculous.
Your wish is your command gave me the recipe to manifest the job that I wanted. It really just gives you the recipe.
After I finished it, my life changed. My income doubled. I make lots more money. It was like magic.
I'm making more money than I've ever had, ever.
Enlightening.
Empowering.
Powerful, but simple.
Inspiring. Activating.
After getting your wishes your command, I went from 5K on my bank account to 8 million in 1.5 years.